In this video, we will continue on application of indices in solving exponential equation and also how to turn exponential equation into a linear form using the law of indices. We all remember the law of indices, but we have to remind ourselves of those laws. Now, using the same image that we used in the last class, the law of indices provide us with rules for simplifying calculations or expression involving power of the same base. And I've already said, the basic idea of the exponential equation is that if bases of numbers of any equation are equal, therefore their power will be equal as well. So in this case, we want to look for unknown variables, either x or y, using the laws of indices. And also, we won't show it yet, but you have to have it in mind that exponential equation can lead to quadratic equation, where we can use law of indices to turn an exponential equation into a quadratic equation, and we'll be discussing that one later in videos to come. Now, let us start with some examples. Now, we have examples like 1 divided by 2, everything into bracket raised to power x equals to 8. How are we going to solve that? That's our first question. Now, that's our first question. And the first question is what? 1 divided by 2 raised to power x equals to 8. Now, remember that a raised to power 1 divided by m equals to what? 1 divided by a divided by equals to what? A raised to power minus 1, right? Therefore, 1 divided by 2 is same thing as what? 2 raised to power minus 1, everything into bracket what? X. And 8 is same thing as 2 raised to power 3. We have to know that. Now, remember that a raised to power m into bracket n equals to what? A raised to power what? M multiplied by n. Which means minus 1 will multiply x here. I will be left with what? We'll be left with 2 raised to power what? Minus x equals to 2 raised to power of 3. Since I said the idea of exponential equation is that if bases of any equation are equal, then the power will be equal as well. Since their base is equal, therefore we can use 2 to cancel 2 so that their power will be equal. Therefore, their power is minus x, which is equals to what? 3. But what we are looking for is an unknown variable. We cannot have a negative answer in our variable. We cannot have a negative sign in this variable. Therefore, we are going to do what? We are going to divide both sides by minus 1 and we'll be left with what? X equals to minus 3. And that was our answer. So that's our first question there. And you can cross-check. If you want to cross-check, you can cross-check. Let us cross-check. Let us say 1 divided by 2, right? Raised to power minus 3. Because whenever we see x, we are going to put minus 3, right? And that is the same thing as 1 raised to power minus 3 divided by 2 raised to power minus 3. And we know that 1 raised to power anything equals to that thing, equals to 1 itself. 1 raised to power 1 million equals to 1. 1 raised to power 1 billion equals to 1. You understand? Therefore, that is equals to what? Therefore, that is equals to 1 divided by 2 raised to power minus 3. You understand? Now, if these 2 raised to power minus 3 should come up, therefore, we'll be left with what? We'll be left with 2 raised to power 3. And 2 raised to power 3 equals to what? Equals to 8. Which means 1 divided by 2 raised to power x equals to 8, which is our initial equation that we have itself. So that is how to cross-check. You understand? Now, our second question. Second question is 0.25 raised to power x plus 1 equals to 16, right? Therefore, to solve that, we write it out. 0.25 raised to power x plus 1 equals to 16. This is a very simple question. What you just have to note here is that what is 0.25? 0.25 is the same thing as 1 divided by 4, right? And that is raised to power x plus 1 equals to 16. And remember that 1 divided by a equals to a raised to power minus 1, which means 1 divided by 4 equals to 4 raised to power minus 1. Everything into bracket x plus 1 equals to 16. We are going to do the same thing that we did the other time. Now, multiply minus 1. Use minus 1 to open this bracket. Therefore, we'll be left with what? 4 raised to power minus x minus 1 equals to 4 raised to power 2, because 16 equals to 4 raised to power 2. Now, since the bases are equal, therefore the power will be equal as well. Therefore, 4 will cancel 4. I'll be left with what? We'll be left with minus x minus 1 equals to 2. Making x the sum of the formula, taking x back here, and bring it to here. Therefore, we'll be left with what? X equals to minus 1 minus 2. And that is equals to what? That's equals to x equals to minus 3. And that is our answer. You can try to cross check this as well. You are going to have the same thing. You understand? So that is that on that. So let us proceed to the next question. Now, the next question is what? Next question is this, which says 4 divided by 2 raised power x equals to 64 raised power x. Therefore, we are going to be having 4 raised power 2 raised power x equals to 64 raised power x. Now, the thing is that what? The thing is that the idea is just make the base of everything to be equal so that the power can be equal as well. Now, what can we do to make all the bases equal? Is to turn the bases into 2 in this case. You understand? Because 2 raised power 2 equals to 4. Therefore, we have 2 raised power x here. And 2 raised power 5 equals to what? 2 raised power 5 equal 2 raised power 6 rather. 2 raised power 6 equals to 64. That's 2 raised power 6x. Because 2 raised power 5 equals to 32. 2 raised power 6 equals to 64. You understand? Now, we have the same bases here, right? We have the same bases. Therefore, we can take, using the law of indices, that say a raised power m divided by a raised power n equals to a raised power m minus n. Which means you can say this is the same thing as 2 raised power what? 2 minus x, which is equals to 2 raised power 6x, right? Now, since the bases are equal, we can cancel them out. Therefore, the power will be equal now. Therefore, that is 2 minus x equals to 6x, right? Making x the solver formula, right? Bring x here. We'll be left with what? We'll be left with 2 equals to 6x plus x. 6x plus x will give us what? Will give us 7x. Therefore, our 7x equals to 2. Making x the formula by dividing both sides by 7. Cancel out. Therefore, my x equals to 2 divided by 7. And we have that. And that's our answer for the what? For the third question. Now, the next question and the last question here, we have 3 raised power x equals to 1 divided by 0.0001. Now, let us solve that. That is 3 raised power x equals to 1 divided by 0.00001. Now, using standard form, we know that this is the same thing as 10 raised power minus 5 using standard form, because I want to bring my points minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5. You understand? So that is the same thing as 10 raised power minus 5. Therefore, this is the same thing as what? 10 raised power x equals to 1 divided by what? 10 raised power minus 5. Now, if you should bring this one up, this minus that is there will become plus. Therefore, we'll be left with what? We'll be having 10 raised power x equals to 10 raised power 5. Now, since the bases are equal, we can cancel them out. Therefore, 10 cancel 10, and x equals to what? X equals to 5. And that is our answer for that one. So that is all for this class. You can try to look for more examples. Don't forget that if you're having questions, you can comment under this video and I will provide a solution to each of your questions. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and we'll meet in the next video.